And then the afternoon, I wasn't feeling all that great, so I just kind of laid back and just.
Okay, we'll excuse you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Will you write me an excuse so I can give it to Charles?
Yeah. I hope Charles will accept it, though. I don't know. I don't have any clout here.
Oh, I don't think that's the case.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, what am I accepting?
An excuse for Bob not attending class on Wednesday. He had a doctor's he had a doctor's excuse.
I see. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, I think you know, like medical stuff like that kind of takes a priority.
Well, Eloise is going to write an excuse for me, so she'll send it to you later on.
Yeah, you'll get it shortly. Wait for it.
Okay.
But don't hold your breath.
Right.
Yeah, I gave up holding my breath on anything a long time ago. I learned early in life. No, you don't wait. So. Yeah.
Hey, Bernice.
Yeah, you can't wait for people. So, yes, Bernice, how are you? Bernice.
I'm here.
There she is. Okay, you sent me an email and you sent me your gardenia again. And now, are you telling me that in the slideshow I mislabeled it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well,
it's no big thing. I was just letting you know because I know it's already gone.
Yeah, it is already gone. But
yeah.
But then again, you know, we're going to add, you know, things to it and
okay.
repost it. So in the process, I will try to make a note to, you know, correct that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You know, I mean, you know, I'm trying to, little by little, you know, we're trying to get it right. So it's just a lot of.
You did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic job on that.
Yes, you did. You did.
Well, thank you all. Yeah, it would be nice if the right information got out there. So let's give credit where credit is due, right? So, all right. Everybody have a good lunch?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's, you know, jump right into it. I mean, it is time. And others will come along, right? Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to just jump. Safari unknown. I don't know what that is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can everybody see a kitty cat?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it's a very pale, kind of very light kitty cat. Okay, good.
Very small.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to try to enlarge it, but we're not going to talk about it right this minute because Avital is not here as of yet. Hopefully she will be. But let's see. Let's go down here. Let's start picking on Bernice Washington since we know that she's here. Okay? You know, Bernice gets picked on because she's early, you know, early in the queue. Okay?
I'm not here.
You're not?
No.
All right. Okay, so Bernice, explain to me what it is that you were asking about this particular piece of artwork the other day. I mean, I see the wood grain. Now, this is on a piece of paneling, is that correct? Hello? Bernice?
Yes. I keep hitting mute for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you don't want to talk to me. Oh, no. Anyway, so my question is, this is on a piece of wood paneling. Is this correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, question. Is this the kind of paneling that actually has like a textured raised surface?
No, it does not have a texture. The only texture you have are the lines that you see. Yeah.
Are cut through here. Okay. But then this is just like a printed on pattern, but it's smooth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is it that you want to do with this?
Well, I want to throw it away actually, but
No,
but,
I mean,
but before I do, I want to know how to make the white part on the bottom look like it's a window sill.
Okay.
Oh, I see what she's.
Well,
See, it just looks like a piece of white on the bottom.
yeah, right now it does. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But, okay. I guess I would answer that by saying it depends on, do you want this to be a very traditional looking window? Do you want it to make it look like a very contemporary window? I mean, what?
No, more of an old barnyard window or something like that.
Okay, all right. And do you have like a double hung sash window in your house?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Then here's what I want you to do. I want you to go sit in front of that window.
Okay.
And I want you to draw it. And I want you to look at the proportions of, you know, the height to the width. Now you can vary that because windows come in, you know, all kinds of different configurations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if this is going to be like a double hung window, then somewhere out here you're going to have, you know, the frame of the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that frame, you're going to have a ledge at the bottom. And then you're going to have like a decorative piece underneath, a piece of trim that kind of connects to the frame, right?
Yeah.
But then there's going to be some depth from on the inside of the frame. You know, it's not real thin. It's usually about 2 to 3 inches thick. Maybe older houses are like almost 4.5, 5 inches thick.
Okay.
And so you're going to see that there's going to be, you know, a side in here and a side in here that you can see. You know, and the same thing is true at the top. See?
Mm-hmm.
So I really want you to look at a window and see how it's actually constructed.
Okay.
And then, you know, if it were a contemporary window, it could actually do something close to what you've painted, which is it might have a flat base and then the 2 flat sides, and the glass would be set in to it, but it wouldn't necessarily have any crossbars or it being an operable window where the lower part raises and the upper part comes down. Now, if you want to make this a very traditional looking, like double hung window, then you're going to have to paint both of those, you know, individual windows, you know, like a double hung.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, plus whatever you can see of the inside of the frame. But
Yeah,
the best thing to do is actually, you know, if you live in a house that, say, was built before 1960,
Mm-hmm.
then you probably have, you know, double hung windows in there that are wood that don't have vinyl and stuff on them, and they would be kind of constructed the way that I'm describing. If it's like after the 60s, like say even in the late 60s through, you know, like a house built within the last year or two,
Mm-hmm.
then the windows are really going to be very different.
Right.
Unless it's a very traditional looking house. So, but yeah, go really look at the window frame. Maybe take a picture of it.
Okay.
You know, maybe take a couple of pictures of it, you know, at different times of day, with the light coming in from different angles, so that you really kind of understand, you know, what goes on there during the day, and you can paint the window to give sort of the effect or the illusion of having the light outside coming from the direction that you want it coming from. Okay.
Okay.
So that would be my 2 cents worth.
Okay.
And that being said, if I were going to paint a double hung window here, yeah. Huh. I was going to say, if you could have lined this up, of course you can't because the widths in the paneling vary. You know, they're not evenly
No, they're
spaced.
not. Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting some raindrops on it.
Well, you could, you know, but you've got to get the frame and the sashes of the window and everything painted first,
Right.
and then you can worry about raindrops.
Okay.
Okay, but
Okay.
you've got, you know, you've got a pretty good sized project in front of you, you know, because windows can be complicated.
Okay.
Well,
Is that oil or is that acrylic?
Acrylic.
Acrylic. Oh, well, what you could do is to take some gesso, some heavyweight gesso, and fill those cracks, smooth it out,
Okay.
you could,
and then you could, you know, then you'd have a smooth surface.
right?
Okay.
That you could do anything you wanted to with it.
Yeah, you could either use gesso, or the other thing you could use is that you know, gel medium,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and you know, put it on with a palette knife and
Mhm.
just, you know, fill those in. And you may have to go over them like 2 or 3 times
Okay.
because as it dries, that stuff shrinks. And so what may be level initially, you know, as it dries might sink in a little bit. You might have to hit it again.
It's like using putty.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you
when
use
you
the gel
putty,
medium
but you
or the
keep going
gesso.
over it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any.
Jacqueline,
Yeah, I wouldn't put any putty.
Oh, no. I was just saying, I know how that works because I have tried to do a wall and fill in the cracks. And yet you put the putty in, let that dry, and you make me have to do it again. So,
Yeah, because it will shrink. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, same kind of thing. So, yeah, just be patient with it. You know, don't be in a big hurry. Take your time, and you know, little by little. Can I ask why? I mean, was there a particular reason that you chose a piece of paneling to paint on?
because the house that I live in
Uh-huh.
had paneling in the hallway and in the living room, and I
Uh-huh.
was taking it down, and I was like, well, why did I use some of this?
Hmm.
You know?
Well, you could. You could. Yeah, I mean, it's
Or
nothing.
should I turn it around and use the back?
Well, and I was gonna I was gonna suggest that because the back usually has a smooth side.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, if you lightly sand it, you can get off any debris or anything like that. And then you put a couple of coats of gesso down on it to really seal the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there wouldn't really be any problem with painting on the back of it.
Right.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at is, you know, I was curious as to whether you had any particular reason to choose a piece of paneling like that, knowing that you've got those wood grooves cut in certain places. And I was wondering if you were going to use them for something. You know, was
No.
that something you did intentionally because you planned on making use of them somehow?
No. I would just, as I say, it was just an experiment to see how it would come out. And I really hadn't thought about, because I have gesso and I have the acrylic medium. I didn't even think about put that in the
In the cracks.
grooves. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now the thing is, you know, you're going to fill those cracks, and then you're going to have some, you know, fairly rough spots in the paint, and you know, just let it dry thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it's dry thoroughly, then just take a piece of sandpaper and sand it smooth.
Okay.
You know, and you know, and then you'll have, you know, a really perfectly nice, smooth, flat surface to paint on.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Let's see.
That was what I was. That was my reference picture.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now in this case, it looks like the window frame
Mm-hmm.
is wood, you know, and it looks like it has wood grain and stuff in it. Is that what you wanted to do, or did you want to paint a white window frame?
Well, after I got the colors of the flowers and everything, I thought the white looked better, but it may not. I'm open for suggestions.
Well, the only thing with white is if you're going to paint, your flowers and things there, the white is going to compete against.
Oh, okay. So make it more, not take up so much attention.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, unless that's a really important part of the story. But, in this particular case, the mason jar full of flowers is really where the story is. So,
Right.
So yeah, if you could paint it to make it look like old wood or something like that, that would be great. And that way it would be a little more subdued. And then the brighter colors and more contrast would be in the flowers in the glass bottle.
Okay.
Okay. There's that gardenia. Is Betty Bates here?
Oh, did you want to see the man that I tried to draw?
I thought I had him in here.
Yeah, he is right there.
Right there. Yeah. Yeah. You sent that in to me.
Yeah, now I sent that one because when you were saying that I did too much stopping drawing the lines, and so I was trying to draw this one without stopping.
Right. Yeah, as a contour drawing. Right. Yeah, and this is, when you first start doing contour drawings, this is kind of how they turn out.
Oh, okay. I did about 20 of those before I got anything that even looked reasonable.
Right. And here's what you're learning from that. Okay? What this is telling you is that you do not have a good sense of spatial awareness about where your hand is in relationship to the paper and stuff yet. So you're still really relying on looking at the paper, and back at the object as you draw. And the whole point of contour drawing exercises is so that you get used to getting your eye and your hand to work together. And it's like you get a sense of where your hand is on the paper without actually having to look at it.
Oh, okay.
And that's really kind of what that exercise is for. Okay. And it's a good exercise, keep doing them. It's a different way of using your hand and brain and developing your hand-eye coordination. Okay.
Okay.
So there's nothing really wrong with it. And, generally contour drawings, don't make final pieces of art. What they are is, like I said, it's an exercise. It's an exercise to, again, get your brain and your hand to work together.
Well, I need that exercise.
Your spatial awareness, right? So, but, you can keep doing those. And, any kind of drawing you do, is going to help, because the more you draw, you're only going to get better. So go for it, right? Now, you drew this from another drawing, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do, though. Okay. I want you to stop copying pieces of artwork.
Okay.
I mean that.
I know you do.
And I want you to get some, either try to draw somebody who you live with or live around. And or if you can't get somebody to sit still for 10 minutes while you do a contour drawing of them, then use the internet and get a picture of someone, an actual person, and do a contour drawing while looking at them. Okay.
You mean a picture of a, I'm not sure what you mean.
A picture of, like, a photograph person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, you could get one off of the internet. You could get one, you know, like your own pictures off of your computer. Like if you went on a vacation or something, you guys went to the beach and there's somebody standing in front of, you know, the ocean. You could try to do a contour drawing of them, or somebody sitting in a chair, or anything else.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But rather than trying to copy other people's artwork, you know, I want you to start making some, you know, some things on your own. Make them personal, right?
Okay. Okay.
You know, if you're drawing someone that you know, right? You know, that's a very different experience than trying to draw somebody or just copy a piece of artwork and you don't know, you know, you don't know who that was a drawing of, and you don't know really anything about them or the artist who really did it.
Right.
And so, you know, by taking that idea, you know, let's say that you like the effect of it, you know, try to get that effect, but try to get it with, you know, a subject that you're familiar with.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah. So that's my 10 cents worth. Okay. Is Avatel here? Did she make it? Is she around? Let's see. It's hard to tell who's here. Jean, Eloise. Who are those? Yes.
This is Betty. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll keep moving downward then. All right. So there's Betty Bates, and Betty sent this in to try to get it into the slideshow, and it was, you know, a little too late because the slideshow had already gone out. But like I said, I'm going to be updating some things, so maybe I can get this one in your other umbrella in. You know.
Yeah, well, both of the umbrellas, especially the one that was in, I'd only spent about an hour and a half on that total, and it was just the very beginning of a painting, and I thought this one would be a little more representational of my work than one that I just started.
Yeah.
And then the other one, umbrella I sent in, it just shows that I've drastically changed it, but it again is nowhere near a finished painting. It's still very preliminary.
Yeah. So you've got the dancers here, and how long ago did you paint this? This is 2000.
A couple, I guess in 2018, I think, or 19.
Yeah, this
looks like I have the date on it.
You do.
Yeah, 2019.
Okay. All right. And so.
And that's acrylic, which I don't normally do a lot of acrylic, but.
Okay. But you got some nice things happening there.
Yeah.
You know, in particular, the couple has kind of an interesting shape, you know, and they take up a certain amount of space because of the position of their arms. And then it's kind of like you could make them into a triangle shape, right? You know, a big upside down triangle. And then from there, you've kind of mirrored that movement, you know, with your background, you know, and your paint strokes, you know, how they kind of move inward. Again, you know, back to sort of the central, you know, area of the painting. And I guess, yeah. I mean, you know, you got nice contrast and values. You got nice movement, you know, in the painting. It's interesting shapes. It's actually, if you squint your eye down, you know, it's pretty easy to read, you know, as far as the figures and things go. And, you know, how big was this?
I think it's 16 by 20.
Okay. So not real large.
No.
Yeah. Okay. And in fact, you know, one of the things, you know, you've painted him in like a black, like tuxedo or, you know, very formal attire there. And yet, you know, you left a lot of the brush strokes and the textured stuff, you know, in his clothing. And actually, I kind of like that. You know, I like the way that area is broken up, and it pulls your eye, you know, vertically up and down. It's pretty subtle, but it's just enough that's there that you know really begin to see it, and it has the effect of taking your eye as you kind of come around and then up his body, and then back kind of around through their arms again, and you get a lot of nice movement in this painting, as far as how your eye just sort of meanders around through it. So yeah, it's got some really nice things about it. You did a nice job, with kind of suggesting, the kind of the curve and the arch in her back, rather than having her straight up. She looks like she's leaning way back, and again, it gives it, another, kind of another thing that's moving, in the composition. So yeah, I like that painting. This is your, now this is the more finished.
Well, it's a changed. It's still far from finished. I changed the colors in it, changed the shape of the umbrella. Actually had to take out a figure in the background because once I changed the umbrella, it kind of covered it up some. So it's still far from finished,
Okay.
but it's just changed from what I originally submitted. I changed the shape of the figure somewhat. I have her arm linked into his now instead of around his waist, which I kind of like better. So there's still a lot to be done on that.
Mm. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a comment here. Let's see, where is my cursor? Here it is. Like with her shoulder, say, her shoulder moves down, and you get the sense that this arm is pushed forward just a little bit, right? Because you see the back come in front of it, and then you see her forearm move forward, and then it's like the idea is that her arm is kind of in between like his rib cage and his arm, right?
Right.
But the way you've painted him, it's like, okay, so you can see where the rib cage sits, but then you get this arm, and unless his arm is like extremely forward, which it doesn't seem like it would be, then I would kind of think that, the arm would come down and it would kind of fill some of that space right in there, and you wouldn't get that light, all the way down in here. Like I said, unless his arm were like really far forward,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd kind of like you to look at that and see really what's going on there. I think you're going to find that, the arm kind of sits out away from the body a little bit more since her arm is tucked in under his. But really, that's kind of about the only thing that really stands out to me, when offhand. And then, yeah. I guess the other thing is kind of the shape of the umbrella a little bit. It's like I like the way it moves around this way, but then when you get over here, it kind of cuts off kind of abruptly, and I think it just doesn't quite feel right on this side. And I would kind of expect or think that point might be a little further out, so that it moves out a little bit more rather than vertical. And I would do that anyway, because what you kind of don't want to do is you don't want to parallel, this vertical in the wall right there. It's a bit distracting. And so,
yeah,
if you bring that out, just, bring that out a bit, and then close it off again. You know, then that umbrella will remain round and kind of feel like it's open. You know, this kind of looks like, you know, my umbrella. I've got one of those little things that have broken off, and so it doesn't really go all the way out to the end on all of them anymore. It's
Yeah.
a fat umbrella now. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, but yeah, just bringing that out a bit, you know, so that you kind of mirror or continue that shape, you know, and that way, you know, the eye just kind of moves on around a little bit better. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice picture.
Yeah. The other thing I want you to look at too is I want you to look at her legs, you know, and his legs. All right. And particularly from the hip to the knee on the legs that are bent, and see where the light is. Okay. Because you've put an equal amount of light, like on his calf and on the back of his leg. And
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the lighting yet too much. And actually with his pants, I was kind of cleaning the paint out of my brush to get, so it certainly isn't very precise, but I know the lighting needs to be looked at a lot more.
yeah, because yeah, this leg isn't quite bending and going back. I mean, you've got the shape of it, but the values tell you something different. And it's really kind of the same thing with her. You know?
Right.
So yeah, just look at that kind of carefully, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bob.
See?
Okay. So that was
Yes.
the original.
That was the original. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you decided to make it look more rocky. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yep.
all right, I like the direction that's heading. And it seems to give you better contrast. You know, in the earlier version, those blocks were a little too close to the flesh tone of the figure.
Yeah. Yep.
And because they were kind of smooth, flat surfaces and shapes, they were, again, similar to the figure, maybe a little too much. And so by making them rougher and more irregular, you've made them more interesting. And it set up a nice contrast to how smooth her skin is, you know, versus the rocks in the mountains. So,
Right.
so that was a pretty good choice.
Well, I'm good. I'm working on her now at this point. There's a lot of work to do on her.
Okay. Did you do any drawings of her to try to figure out?
Yeah, I have done some. I've gotten some samples of hand and arms outstretched to see if I can, you know, maybe fix that a little bit. But yeah, I've got some samples and started to do some. Well, I have done a couple of drawings. Probably do a few more.
Okay. When you do, send them. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we can kind of look at it. And that way, you know, we can kind of talk about it, you know, before you commit yourself, you know, to making a lot of changes to her. Okay.
Yep.
They look like I don't know what's it called. You know, when you, I don't know. I guess kind of like semi-precious stones. They look like. They look like some. Anyway, the bottom line is I love those stones.
You mean the sphere here?
No, the stone, the wall.
Oh, the actual rock wall.
Yes, I love that.
Oh.
It looks like you know, like something you would have found in a dig or something, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It looks kind of rocky and rugged, and you know, it looks like there's been a lot of erosion there over many years. You know, bring out all those rough spots. But yeah, you know, it'll be interesting to see how he develops the rest of that. So we've got your record player, your music piece, and this is coming along pretty nicely. You know, you've got your vacuum tubes in there. You got it looks like old theater speakers, you know, for like drive-in theaters almost.
Mm-hmm.
And this is beginning to take on some form and feel a little bit round. We talked about this last week. Yeah. The only thing I would do is I would kind of push a little bit of lighter value in
Okay.
to the side over here and over here.
Okay.
Not nearly as light as this, but just, slightly lighter than the main body of it. Because what you're trying to show is that this is a round form and that it's catching some kind of reflected light.
Okay.
As that turntable moves around.
Yeah. I've put a little bit of lightness on the turntable under the tone arm, but obviously you can't see it. It wasn't near enough. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it may be the photograph or something like that. But yeah, there's not enough of at least in the photograph, there's not enough of a change for us to really see that change in value yet. Now in the real painting, it may.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles?
Yeah.
In case you were looking for me, I had to receive someone for a minute. I'm back, okay?
Yeah, I know. I saw your big green screen. So.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah, I have a big delivery, so I had to be there to help him carry. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting our way down to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is Jacqueline here? Jacqueline Lattimore. Jackie, where are you? I guess she's not here. Okay. All right. She sent in a bunch of photos. I haven't quite figured out why. I don't know whether she's sending these in because she wants to paint them or what. But, there's her at the zoo, her with a horse. I'm not quite sure, where that is. It might be somebody's house or her house. Definitely some, I'd say Central African figures. And then we have these lovely palm trees and this, fence. And what is this? 24/7 online banking. Yeah. Okay. Banking location. I don't know. So anyway, like I said, she sent me in, more pictures from the zoo. It's not a pear. I think she said it was a squash. And then we have this very happy fellow somewhere down in the Caribbean. And I don't know where he is, but I'd like to go there. Looks like a nice beach to kind of hang out on for a little while. I could do that. You could convince me, pretty easily.
It takes practice to do that on a regular basis, though.
To go to the beach?
Yep. Yeah, you have to practice that on a regular basis. Really get full advantage.
Okay. Well, then I better get started, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of like drawing, why procrastinate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. So I don't know. She's not here, so she can't really tell us what they're all about, but I'm curious. And then we have John, and John is having issues, he says.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we talked about when we're looking at some of the other artists trying to get that ledge look or bluff look that's in the foreground and looking down. I'm having difficulty with that.
Okay. So I've got 3 things to say about that. Okay. Number 1. I think the reason that you're having difficulty getting that effect, and I guess I'm maybe not reading this quite clearly, but now is this area right here, is that kind of elevated over all of this down here?
No, just that lower fourth of the picture, where about the middle of the bottom there is where it sort of ends.
Middle of the bottom where it, you mean like
right? No, right, a little bit over, no, a little more there, right there, lower that, right there, down Yeah, that's sort of where I think it ends.
What ends?
The elevated portion.
Okay, so really from here to the left is elevated, right?
To the right.
Oh, from there to the right is elevated.
Right, correct.
Oh,
Obviously, I got it mixed up somehow.
yeah, because right now the part that seems to be sinking down
uh-huh.
is this area right here.
Okay.
See, I kind of see it's like, okay, this seems like maybe, you know, there's a rocky structure or something here that's kind of sticking up.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, you kind of move downward from there into this field area. And you could, you know, be like walking all the way downhill to this row of trees over here. And then from there, you know, it's like, then it goes way, way downhill. And it looks like your horizon line is really kind of right about here. So you get these mountains off in the distance. And then this is some kind of valley or something down below. That's kind of the way I read it. How far off am I?
Yeah, that's the horizon line. There's some mountains and then water in front of that.
Yeah. All right. So that, you know, yeah, see, I just don't see this.
See, in my mind, I was thinking, trying to get more contrast in the foreground.
Yeah.
And that's why I used the lighter green and then the darker in the trees, thinking that would be enough contrast to give you that illusion.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't.
Well, no, because this seems to be the part that's, it's kind of like you're up and you're looking down toward
Right, I can see that. Right, yeah, I can see that.
Which isn't, you know, which in essence is what you're asking about, you know, how do I do that? Okay, well, that part's doing it. Over here, not so much. Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah. And so for me, right, just looking at this looks like, you know, kind of, you know, including these trees up here, it looks like one big mass that sticks up over this.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that now that you say that, right?
Yeah. And I would keep going that way.
Go that direction, okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, let these be, you know, further down the hill and further away from you. And then, of course, the mountains are even farther away.
Right.
But now to do that and really kind of pull that off, you know, I like kind of where you're going right here with some of these browns and, you know, warmer colors and things. And having some of that sprinkled in here, as well as, you know, defining and developing your trees here. But don't stop your trees quite so short. You know, go ahead and bring the trunk down a little bit, maybe to there. See, and pull it a little bit closer to us, because it seems like it should be closer to us.
Okay.
In here. And then this one back here can, you know, sit further back. And that, again, will kind of give you that illusion of depth.
Okay, I understand that on the left side. How about that right side? And that's still where the dark trees and light.
Yeah, I mean, again.
Does that stay the way it should, or should that be?
I mean, I wouldn't do too much over here.
Okay,
you know,
just on the other. Okay.
In here.
Yeah, I got it.
And see, that's going to pull this forward and toward us.
Right. Correct. Yeah, I can see that now that you talk about it.
Yeah. Which means that as you pull this forward, that all of this is going to kind of feel like it's going to move back.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But yeah. Now, one of the things that I wanted to say to you about this was, you know, you've got, we looked at a couple of different artists, Shishkin, you know, for example, and in his landscapes, you know, he had these sort of diagonal lines, right?
Correct.
You know, coming in and, you know, like you do here in the sky and this cloud back here. So, you know, you're getting all these kind of triangular sort of shapes. And what are they doing? You know, they're telling you, you know, look over to the left side, right?
I see that, right.
Yeah. And even the angle here kind of pulls
Correct.
you down, you know, over to this area again. And so, to me,
That left side should be the focal.
right, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting is, you know, this is the part that, you know, you should really make, you know, emphasize and get your eye to go there, because, you know, you've got all these underlying elements, you know, kind of leading you over to this area. You don't really have much taking you over here.
Correct. Okay, I will work on that over the weekend.
Yeah, just a thought. And then we have your, you know, your trees and things. And did you have any more questions about this?
No, this is the final. We talked about it, about, I had that middle area was too bright, too heavy, so I toned that down. We put, that's basically what I did.
I love it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, again, you know, and I made this comment to you the other day. I really want you to start looking at trees.
yes.
Because, you know, you've got a lot of kind of repetitive,
Very.
circular shapes.
I thought about that after we saw some of those videos.
John too.
But yeah, breaking up those shapes and making them a little bit
Yes.
be a help, I think.
Yeah, they're not all clones.
Right. Yeah, they're not really each other's cousin. So, and then we have this. Now you said that Curran inspired this.
That's my CERN inspired, right? I was wanting to.
So why are we blaming Surin on this?
He has the picture of his son's house.
House, right?
With the leaves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's, and I was trying to work on perspectives. And I thought that would be a good subject to try to get. And I think I had lost it somewhere.
I mean, you've got a couple of really nice things happening here. Okay. Your composition is rather different than Surin's.
Yes.
In some ways, I mean, you know, this walkway, you know, would have to come in quite a bit more, and then it's like your horizon line. When I look at this, should be really kind of like right about in here.
Right.
Okay. And yet, when I look at the perspective on the houses, they really tell me that it's really kind of down here.
Yes.
Okay. And, you know, that doesn't seem like a long way off, but if this is 15 miles away, you know, being that much lower on the horizon line, that's a pretty big difference. Okay. So just be careful with those angles. Okay.
I say I really had struggled with that again. The reason I did this subject was the idea to try to have different vanishing points, and I used a ruler, but I guess I didn't execute it well.
Well, yeah, the issue is that you don't have, like, this doesn't go back to the same vanishing point this does. And the reason I can tell that is if you use this top line and draw it back, right, to the horizon,
Correct. Right.
you're going to end up somewhere maybe about right over there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And you start there and come forward and do the bottom side of it. All right, those two seem to be, you know, lined up, right?
Right.
But when you go back to that very same vanishing point and you come up from the corner here, this front edge is pretty good. But then, you know, when you move backward, see, you're gonna lose a lot of this right here. It's gonna have to get narrower down here to the bottom to go to that same vanishing point.
Okay.
And so, you know, that's one of the issues with perspective is you got to be kind of precise about it. Otherwise, you know, it kind of looks a little bit wonky, like the building's falling apart.
Well, yeah, and that's what I looked at it too, and I tried even with the buildings in the back and that I said I used a ruler, but I guess I didn't follow through enough on it or something to get.
Yeah. So now I want to bring up the next point, you know, point to you, which is, so if the vanishing point for this and really this whole side of the building
Right.
is over here,
Correct.
and this walkway is running parallel or perpendicular to your houses, right? Then the vanishing point for this sidewalk has to go back to the same point.
Ah, okay.
See, it can't be a different vanishing point if it's running, in fact, you know, parallel or perpendicular, you know, to these houses, right? Now,
Gotcha.
now, if this guy right here had, let's say, 18 feet between the walk and his front door, and this guy only had like 10, right? Then, then maybe, you know, then maybe that's what's happening, you know, because this is getting closer and closer, you know, to the front doors of these houses,
Right.
going to a different vanishing point. But that doesn't seem to be what's really happening. So,
Yeah.
and most city planners wouldn't do that. You know, some people get little tiny front yards, other people get really big.
Right. Right.
So,
But yeah, again, I've been just trying to do some different things based on a lot of our discussions, and
yeah, but yeah, when you do stuff like that, you know, you got to kind of think about, okay, why would this be different than this?
yeah, right.
The fact is, you got to kind of treat them all the same. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Okay. All right. We got June Wang here. I saw her. I know she's
Yes, I'm here.
Hey. All right. So we got a coffee cup. My best friend. Okay. And you know, we've talked about ellipses before, right? Yes.
What?
Yes.
Ellipses. You know what an ellipse is, right?
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay. The top of this cup, where it's open, is an ellipse. The bottom
Oh, okay.
is an ellipse, right? It goes around that shape. Well, the same thing happens with the plate as well, right? And the thing is, you know, in looking at your drawing of this cup, you know, it feels like we're way up above the cup, you know, like we're sitting there at the table, we're looking down at the cup. And so that part's believable, okay? Because that's kind of the way you would see a coffee cup or a teacup, right? But we can't be at multiple places at once. So therefore, all of these ellipses have to work together, right? And so if our eye level or horizon line is way up here, right? You know, then coming down here, that's pretty open, okay? And that feels pretty good. Now it feels a little bit wonky because you've got some kind of flat sides in here, and you got to try to make it, you know, more evenly curved. But then as you move down the cup, right, you know, and you get here, well,
Yeah.
yeah, the ellipse could probably be a little more curved than you have it. See, a little rounder. And here, instead of flattening out, it's gotta keep going. See, it's gotta go back around and behind that cup. Okay. And then of course,
Okay.
because this ellipse sits on this plate, then the ellipse for the plate right here has got to do the same thing. See, it's got to be more or less evenly distributed around that cup and go back behind it. And then last but not least, you know, you have your outer edge of your plate, and it has to do the same thing as well, which, you know, pretty much so you've indicated, you know, it's moving back behind here. But just be careful to try to make those ellipses as smooth and as even as you can, right? And be aware of where they are in accordance to where your line of sight and perspective are, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just takes practice. The more you draw, the better you get. And then you have
That
this
one.
lovely bowl. Yes?
It looks like she got the ellipse right on that one.
Yeah, she does.
Mhm.
Yeah, she did a very nice job on the ellipse on this one. Look, let's go the other way so we can see more of it, not less. Yeah. So you see that kind of feels more correct, right? You know, the curve here seems to kind of follow, you know, the curve here at the top of the, there we go, you know, of the bowl and then the bottom. And so all of that works pretty nicely. And then you've got your cast shadow. So you're saying that the light is coming in from the left. You know, this side of the bowl right here is falling into shadow, which feels, you know, right. And then the whole side of the bowl on this side is falling into shadow. About the only thing that I would question you about is I don't see a core shadow in there. You know what a core shadow is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where the core shadow would kind of occur is it would really kind of occur right around here.
It's about here. Yes, yes.
Yeah. See? You know, where your shadow begins. So it would actually end up being darker here than it is back here because a lot of this is getting filled in with reflected light off the table. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that core shadow would help round that out and make that bowl really turn for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So get out a bowl, get out an apple or a pear or something like that, and then get the light coming from one side, you know, preferably the left. And then really look at that bowl and look
at the bowl.
You know, if you can
Okay.
see a core shadow there, okay?
Okay.
And if it's a white bowl, it will be easier to see than if it's a wooden bowl, okay?
It's brown bowl.
Right. Do you have a white bowl?
No, not the white bowl, the brown.
Okay, I know.
Dark brown, not dark brown, it's light brown.
Okay, all right.
Wood bowl, wood.
Okay, well, try it. See if you can really see it. If not, getting some kind of white bowl to look at, just so you can see the core shadow, you know, might help you understand it.
A little dollar bowl.
I'm sorry, what?
You could go to the Dollar Tree and get a dollar white bowl.
Yeah, you could. You know, you could. So, and then we have a swaddled baby here. I guess he's not swaddled. He's just in a, what do they call that? A jumper, jumpy, something like that. Yeah. You know, and he's dressed like a rabbit. So this must, yeah, this must be for Easter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw the YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask you if you knew this baby. Is this baby like a grandchild or something?
You said she got it from YouTube.
Well, yeah, but what did she get from YouTube? Did she get this picture from YouTube or did she get the idea from YouTube?
Picture.
The picture. Okay. So you don't know this baby?
No, I didn't know that.
You know? Okay. Yeah. Looks like a cute baby, you know? Again, you know, it's like a matter of how do you make this head feel more round, okay? Because babies basically are like little aliens, right? They get these funny little, you know, kind of round, bulbous heads, right? And, you know, and this head, you could turn it more, right? Make it rounder. You've done pretty good here with like the leg and breaking that leg or the line inside. Even the ellipses around the hands and things like that. Okay, you get the idea. You know, it's moving around the shape. The legs, again, help direct your eye. And then, of course, the where the buttons are, you know, going right up here, taking you to his face, you know, helps. Again, you know, everything's kind of pulling you up the figure. So a lot of that's working really nicely. Okay. You know, the main thing is I would just like to see this feel rounder. you know, like across the
Okay.
face.
It's so hard to draw in the baby's face.
Well, it is, because babies are, you know, if you put any kind of hard line, then all of a sudden they look a lot older.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of keeping the lines soft and not too many of them.
Okay.
Excuse me. Wow. Maybe I need to go take a nap here. All right. Is Lady here? No? No lady? Okay. She sent in some kind of fun, interesting things. You know, again, you know, I think this is one of her fabric bolts that she gets and she paints on, which I think is a great idea. It's a good way of recycling a material. And then she's got, it looks like she made this flower, probably out of like cut paper or something like that. I don't know that for sure, but it kind of looks like maybe out of tissue paper. And then last but not least from her is this lovely plate or bowl. And the only question I have for her about this is this the type of clay that you bake in your own oven? Or, you know, is it a clay that needs to be fired? So, but she's playing with my favorite subject, which are coffee beans, right? And without coffee beans, I kind of feel like what's going on in here. Okay. I like my coffee beans, so. But yeah, this kind of fun piece. And then let's see. We're going to talk about Monet here a little bit because he keeps coming up. And this is a picture of the haystacks that Monet did. And the thing I want you to notice about this is the brushwork, you know, how he put down the color, but also how the color changes, you know, from the foreground to the middle ground to the background, right? And it's like the further back you get, the more muted, right, or grayed down the color becomes. And then as you come forward, the colors become more intense. You know, so that yellow and orange and, you know, different reds, things like that. Those are all really pretty strong mixtures of color, you know, when you kind of start at this point moving forward. When you're looking at this, you know, pretty close to the very same red, but it's been modified and it's been grayed down so much more that, you know, it really sits back there in the back and doesn't want to jump forward. And that's, you know, that's the struggle with painting, is you're mixing colors and you're trying to get it just right so that you get it, you know, moving backward or forward in space according to, you know, the concept or idea that you have. You know, this is another Monet painting. And I have to honestly say I'm not a big fan of this painting right here. You know, there's parts of it that work really well for me, but, you know, this part up in here where he's put these strong purples and things in around the church, it flattens out the painting, you know. And in fact, you know, your eye goes back here, but it also pulls this way forward. And it's not, you know, it's much further off. So I guess if I were painting this, what I would do is I would take these violets and I would lower the value of them so they're not quite so dark, but they still, there's enough of a color and a temperature difference to, you know, turn the form on these buildings and walls here and make them look three-dimensional. But
So Charles, why did he do that then?
I don't know. You know, I'm assuming that Monet had his good days and his bad days.
Is it not shadow? Maybe he tried to project.
It is a shadow, but he's got shadows back here too, but he's got them much softer and they sit in the background.
It looks like to me he's made the church, or whatever you call it, in the back, the center of interest instead of all the bright stuff in front of it. The bright stuff in front of it,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's kind of what's happened, is that because he has so much more contrast back here, which is actually one of the further objects away in the distance, you know, he's made it a focal point, and you bypass all of this garden and palm tree and everything else, and this big, you know, building right here. You bypass all of that and you go back here, because this is where the contrast is.
Hey, Charles, what I would like to ask you about this painting is the blending or subtlety, you know, the luminosity that in the larger picture, you know, it's very luminous.
Yeah.
And, you know, to achieve that kind of effect, this is what I really would like to learn. I wonder, you know, how he did it with a lot of medium or glazing, or I don't know.
Well, okay, what we know about Monet is Monet did not glaze.
I mean, glazing with paint over, no?
He did not glaze. Didn't do it. Okay? He was an alla prima painter. Okay? Which means that he was putting color directly down on the canvas. Okay? And at times,
Did he match his paint before he put on the detail or not? Match with different mixture on the canvas?
yeah, I mean, you know, like, and we talked about this the other day, you know, Monet would keep going back and back and back to canvases. And I'm suspecting this may have been a plein air painting. It looks kind of like that. And it wouldn't really be like one of his larger paintings, because I'm looking at the size of his signature right here. So this had to be a fairly small to medium sized painting.
Yeah, he did a few of this series, by the way, and all of them are like this, you know, with this effect, soft edges and all that.
Yeah.
Really didn't put a lot of definition on the forefront and all that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my thought is that because of the size of this, is that it probably was a plein air painting, meaning that he painted it while he was standing there. And that this was, instead of like one of his haystack paintings, that he went out with 40 or 50 canvases and then changed it every 20 minutes. You know, he worked on this, you know, and, you know, brought it to a conclusion. And I'll tell you what could have happened, because I've had it happen to me too, which is as the day went on, you know, these shadows got darker, and he painted them the way he saw them because he painted it later in the painting, and it gave it more contrast than all of this right here. Like I said, I mean, this is not my favorite Monet painting by far. For me, there's a few too many, you know, indiscrepancies. And it doesn't really, to me, again, it doesn't really look like, you know, Monet's brushwork and stuff. It looks more careless than he would be. So now, you know, if they say this is a Monet, I'm not going to dispute that or anything, but yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it is a Monet, because I have a collection of big Monet books, which are like $300-400.
Yeah.
And this series are like several of them in there. And some of his water lilies paintings were also smashed up, you know, blended, you know, romantic looking like this.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I just personally I like it. I like the color effect.
Yeah, I mean, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, this, you know, when I look at this, this does not really remind me of Monet.
Yeah, but okay. You know, I mean, it's some people like a very well-defined painting. Okay, some like blurred or blended like this.
Yeah.
Depending on how you see the original, I mean, some of them are just incredibly difficult to.
Yeah, seeing the original is what it's all about, because, you know, again, you know, you're looking at a photographic reproduction of a piece of artwork that may or may not have been lit very well. And then, you know, the problem is that the camera doesn't see anything near what the human eye does. So, you know, you've got that limitation right there. I guess what I would say about this, you know, the things that bother me the most, like I said, to me, it looks like it was probably a plein air painting, and it looks almost like two totally different paintings. You know, I keep going to this area, and this is really kind of the focal point because of the contrast and the shadows. But then he's got almost the exact same thing here underneath the porch. Okay. And that's not going to happen. You know, maybe at different times of day it might happen as the angle of the sun changes, but yeah, it's not going to happen like that. And they seem to be about equal. Okay, I would say under the porch is just a little bit darker, but not by much. So to me, you know, I mean, this is one of his kind of flatter, not so interesting paintings, you know, where the haystacks up above it, you know, very, very nice use of color, composition, shape. You know, it all comes together there very nicely. And in looking at his brushwork, you know, this looks like Monet's brushwork. You know, this doesn't. It doesn't look as well organized and thought out. And, you know, he was a kind of a patient guy, you know. I mean, he would work on pieces for a long time, you know, to get them where he wanted them to go. So, like I said, it just doesn't strike me as, you know, typical of his work. Is Rebecca here? No. All right. So, Søren, since we talked about Monet, now we get to talk about Søren trying to be Monet. And Søren actually does a much better job of being Monet with this painting than Monet was with that last painting that we looked at.
I don't know. Okay. This was my early painting style. It's a very old painting.
Yeah, but it looks like you look at Monet a lot, and it looks like you kind of copied his style.
Yeah, I did. And, yeah, I like his style.
Yeah, and the brushwork looks like, you know, Monet's brushwork. Okay. So, I mean, you know, if that was your goal, you accomplished it. And, you know, the thing I like about this painting in particular is I like the sense of light and shadow. You know, the cast shadow of the figure walking along with her. I guess, is that it's too big to be a violin. Is it what is it? Is it a cello?
Guitar.
Huh?
Guitar.
It's a what?
A guitar.
Oh, it's a guitar. Okay. All right, so she's walking along with a guitar case. And, you know, you've got some nice transparency in the fabric, you know, with the sunlight coming through it as well. And that's kind of a nice, you know, nice little kind of side note effect there. Now, you're doing something that Bernice did just recently. If the sunlight is all back here, then you're probably not going to get these bright lights, you know, really on the front side of this bush. Okay. And that's about the only thing that I kind of find inconsistent is that, you know, you've let the light kind of go everywhere here. And it doesn't do it anywhere else. It doesn't do it here on these trees or in these. You know, it's all kind of, you know, you got these really light lights and really light, you know, really dark darks up against each other. And yeah, that's probably not going to happen like that. Because this is again, you know, it's kind of a spherical form if we abstract it down into something simple. And so again, you know, this is going to be the darker side of it, which means that all the value in here is going to get darker, and you might get what you've got, you know, the way you painted it up toward the top edge here, but you're not going to get it way back around on the other side of the plant.
Okay.
Not normally.
Okay.
Then let's look at these guys. Now this is your redo, right?
Yeah, I redid almost the entire painting. I want to let go with it, but I want you to take a look and see whether there are any obvious flaws that I should correct.
Yeah, talk to me. I mean, you're kind of, I didn't get a lot of that. What?
I said I wanted this to be final, but I want your comment to if you catch any flaw, you know, before I let go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's working somewhat better than it was earlier. Okay, I still think that you could really, like the light areas here, you know, as this walkway gets close to us, you could push some of the lights in here, you know, more, so that you create more contrast down here. Again, it's going to make this area come forward. Same thing with the ridge here on the hill. You know, this light could be quite a bit lighter than what you've painted it. And the other thing I want to caution you against is, you know, again, you're doing your pattern thing. You know, you got a splotch here, you got a splotch here, you got a splotch here, you got a splotch there. And they're all kind of the same size and equally spread apart. And it's like, yeah, don't do that. You know, it's like break them up. You know, maybe you got a smaller one here. Maybe this is a much bigger one, and then maybe you got another small one, or, you know, or this is even bigger than the two of these combined. But vary it. The more you vary it, the more natural it's going to look. Okay?
Should I put more green on some of them or what?
Yeah, more of that kind of yellow green up here, you know, along the grass, you know. Because your shadows, you know, your shadows and things are dark enough. It's
shadow not dark enough?
I said they are dark enough.
Okay, dark enough. Okay.
Yes. The issue is that the lights
are
not light enough.
Okay.
So you could really, like, if this were kind of a triangle right here, you could lighten that whole triangle up and just, you know, keep it simple. You know, don't have to get real fancy with it. You know, just, again, you know, just generally this is all needing to be lighter. And then the same thing is in here where the cast shadows of the branches are. The areas in between, you could lighten up quite a bit. See? And the reason I would encourage you to lighten all of this up quite a bit is that the lighter you make this, the darker this is going to look. And again, it's going to push up more contrast in this area than you have back here. Okay? Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
So, anybody got any questions about any of that? Any comments? Anything we want to talk about?
Well, this is the one that was my inspiration.
Right. Yes, that's what inspired you. Yeah.
Right.
And it's good inspiration. Okay. The thing is, you know, if you're going to steal an idea from somebody, right? And stealing is perfectly fine, by the way. You know, in fact, that's why we have art history. You know, because it's like, you know, one artist is always stealing from another or another generation of artists, and borrowing things and learning from them. You know, and that's kind of what it's all about. Is you keep accumulating information and knowledge. You know, so hopefully the artists later down the line get better than we are, because they're going to have a lot more opportunity to look at all the mistakes that we made, right? And that's how it's going to help them figure it out a little bit earlier than maybe we did. Plus, maybe they'll hang around for another 50 or 60 years more than we will, so they'll have a little more time to work on it, right? But you know, stealing ideas, concepts, you know, things like that from other artists is perfectly fine. But if you're going to do that, you know, do it, and, you know, do it with a little finesse, and, you know, make it, you know, really take parts of it, really make it your own. Okay. Which means that, you know, you could really push color, or you could change the focus, you know, in some way. You know, take the idea and do something slightly different with it. You know, that's your own individual take, right? Kind of like what I was telling Bernice, you know, earlier. You know, rather than looking at somebody's piece of art and copying that piece of art, figure out what it is that you like about that. Okay. You know, why do you like that painting? Why does that inspire you? And then go find something in your life, right, that is similar but more personal. So let's say, John, like, you really liked that painting that Søren did of his son-in-law's house, right, and daughter's house. And so maybe, I don't know where you live, right, but, you know, if you live in a neighborhood with houses and things like that, maybe go out on your own street, you know, about that time of day, or early in the morning, whenever the light is really good, and really take some time to figure out what's going on there, and then use that idea that Søren had and apply it to your own, you know, something that's really personal to you. Okay. And the reason I say do that is that's kind of what art is really all about. You know, again, you know, we're filters, right? Everything we see, whether we're conscious of it or not, our brain is like a sponge. You know, it gets stuck in there, and then it rattles around, and then, you know, it kind of goes through the laundry and comes out, you know, of us in a different way, and that's fine, you know, because, again, what you're doing is you're bringing your personal experience and who you are, you know, to that idea, and you're presenting that to the world. It's kind of the way you see the world, see, and it's not your interpretation of the way the Søren sees the world, right? And so, and that's really kind of the beauty of art, is that it gives each of us an opportunity, you know, to experience things and to react to them in a very personal way. And so, you know, in fact, hang on one second. I need to go on a search.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see if I can find. have a painting. And I know I have it. The problem is going to be finding it. Ah. Ta-da! I found you. Yay. All right. Okay, I'm going to do a little screen share here. Now, this is a painting that I did, I'd have to say 10 years ago. Okay.
Okay.
Ah, see?
Oh.
All right, looks kind of familiar, doesn't it?
From a different angle, but yeah.
Yeah, different angle, yeah. But it's very familiar subject. It's not the same houses, right?
Very much different, yes.
Yeah, but again, you know, it's kind of that same idea. It's capturing the sunlight, you know, on the surface of a house or several houses, right?
Mhm.
And there's a story behind this. This is actually in a neighborhood. It's off of Edwin Park Lane, which is on the west side of Atlanta. And that neighborhood was built in the like 1890s through about 1910. Okay. And one architect built all the houses back along that street, you know, in the original neighborhood. Since then, they filled in with, you know, houses in the 60s and 70s and 80s. But along the street there, sitting next to each other, are three houses that are almost identical. Okay. And, you know, it's basically the same floor plan, you know, like he'll mirror, you know, it's the same floor plan, but he'll flop it on the other house. But it's basically the same house. And in fact, I almost bought this house right here. Okay. It was for sale. And they only wanted like $99,000 for it. Now, this house happens to be almost 6,000 square feet. It's a huge house. All of them are. And this is in the old merchant neighborhood. And it's made out of solid granite. The wall, you know, like through here, is about a foot thick. And it's just big granite blocks. Fascinating architecture to it. I could have bought that house for $99,000, and then I would have spent another $499,000 renovating, which is why I didn't buy it. But I hated to walk away from it because in the back of that house, they had the original kitchen. And I don't know what you guys know about architectural history, but in the South, it was very rare to put a kitchen inside the house. The kitchen was always out and behind the house, right? It was never part of the house. That and the bathrooms, okay? But this was really one of the very first houses that was built in Atlanta that actually had interior running water, interior bathrooms, and an indoor kitchen, right? And in this kitchen, there was a huge copper oven for baking. You know, it was all brick and copper. And that oven was still there. And all the copper work and the original copper sinks and everything else. You know, the kitchen was basically pretty much so intact. Needed a lot of work, but it was basically all there. Which I've looked at a lot of old houses and all of that stuff always disappears. It just goes away for some reason. You know, when people try to update it, if they keep living in it. But, you know, whoever owned this house originally, you know, kept it, you know, more or less intact. But it was a beautiful home. But, you know, I couldn't afford it. You know, I mean, I couldn't afford to buy the house, I couldn't afford to fix the house. You know, it's just like, yeah, it's just way too much to take on. So, but I went out there and, you know, I love these houses. You know, I just kind of, you know, the whole neighborhood, you know, I just like the feel and the architecture and stuff. So I went out there one afternoon. It was a nice spring afternoon. And I sat up under a tree, you know, along the sidewalk, and I painted, you know, some part of the three of them. You know, this is like one of my all-time favorite plein air paintings that I did. And I sold this painting to a pretty good friend of mine, you know, who now lives up in LJ. And every once in a while I'll go up and I'll visit this painting. You know, it's one of those paintings that you kind of regret that you let go of. But you know, anyhow, that's my story about it. But,
how big is that? How big is that?
Oh, it's tiny. It's like 10 by 10. You know, it's just a little square. You know, I mean, that whole painting was painted in 3.5 hours. You know, but you know, it was just a day out. You know, and I wanted to go there. You know, because I really like that neighborhood and that kind of park. You know, the neighborhood itself at the time, yeah, was a little shaky. You know, probably not the best place to hang out in the world. You know, but you know, I'm crazy, so you know, I go do stuff like that, or used to at least a lot.
Charles, I got to go walk the dog. I hope I won't be there early Monday class, but I'll try to get to the 2 o'clock.
Well, hopefully you won't show up Monday.
Show up, that's right. I
Right.
remember now.
Or Wednesday.
Not next week, that's correct.
Or Friday.
I said not next week. I remember from this morning.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Now,
just in a hurry to get my dog out, so right now.
Okay. All right. Well, you have a happy Friday, okay?
You too. Have a happy holiday.
Yeah, I'm gonna go spend a little time in Alabama.
So,
I know that sounds crazy.
the
So,
only class is closed with yours. That doesn't apply to any of the other classes, right?
I'm sorry?
The only classes that will be closed is yours. That doesn't apply to any of the other.
No. It's just me. Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, you're just getting rid of me for a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm, you know, while you guys are scratching your heads and doing your homework and figuring out what to write about yourselves, you know, I'm going to be away, probably taking down a chimney stack at that house. So, you know, that and trying to figure out some other things about it. So,
Don't fall off the roof, please.
no, the chimney stack on the outside of the house has been taken down.
Oh,
This one is in between the walls.
Oh.
It's been walled up.
Okay.
And I've got to start in the attic, and I've got to start taking it down, you know, brick by brick, all the way down to below the floor line, so I can close up the floor, and then eventually, you know, put a bathroom on top of where that was, you know. So yeah, it's part of the renovation plan, but it's got to go away, and I figured that's something I can do rather than pay somebody else to do it. And I want to save the bricks so that I can use them for the new front porch. So I have a double motivation there. You know. Anyway, anybody got anything else we want to talk about? Need to talk about before we go away? All right. Guess what time it is? It's martini time.
Going twice.
All right. Well, you guys have a good week, and I'll see you in a week from now then, okay?
Have a good week.
All right.
Thank you, Charles. Have a good week.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.